Welcome to this Thursday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham and Neal McCready, Clark Ford studio with you this morning. Jeffrey Wright will join us here in probably a few minutes at some point here. We're still waiting on contact back. No big deal. We'll get to him when we do. We'll go right to him when he is ready. But anyway, podcast brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Ribs, lunch specials, great gas prices. It get even better when you have the Speed Pass Plus out, the mobile rewards program, and more there with the Oxford Exxon. Again, coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number to call. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is up to you. You can shop it around, or you can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop in a Clark Ford today. You'll love the product. You'll love the service after the sale, and all of that. Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy. He'll prove that to you. 662-257-1900.
Yeah, a day that it is raining outside is the day we both choose not to wear a hat. So I don't know. Didn't really play my. Well, you didn't leave the house, so it didn't make as much sense. But
I've not left the house. I backed Caroline's car out of the driveway.
That's all you've done today.
The extent of my outdoor activities so far.
Probably about the extent of your outdoor activities for the day. It is not pleasant out there right now.
Gus and Rizzo might have something to say about that before the day is done.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Hey, you just put them out in the backyard and let them deal, can't you? Get a little rambunctious, a little high maintenance if it goes that way.
A little bit, be a little muddy. Might have to slog through a wet walk.
You've had several labs. How do these two fare from a standpoint of upkeep and just difficulty and keeping them maintained and all that compared to Wrigley and Miller?
About the same.
Are they?
Yeah, pretty low key.
Is Gus different a lot since he lost all that much weight? Is he a different dog with the weight loss?
He's got more energy. Feels better. He moves around better. He gets a little. He likes him a good game of tug of war at night. Gets a little growling and all that stuff. He's pretty playful. Rizzo's still got a lot of puppy in him. Rizzo's not the smartest dog in the world.
Jeffrey about 5 minutes away. Saw you took a shot on Twitter last night. Zion getting his first action.
It's not a shot. He's fat.
He was a little large.
He's fat.
Third heaviest player in the NBA.
We got to get past this PC thing in America, man. We do. We got to get past this. Just because someone says you're fat, they're not saying you're a bad person. They're not saying you need to be executed. But if you're fat, you're fat. And he's 285 pounds. He needs to probably weigh about 250 in this league. This league's back-to-backs. It's night after night. He's on a minutes restriction. He got hot in the fourth quarter, and he's terrific, and he showed you why he's the first pick in the draft. But if he's going to be a dominant, elite NBA superstar, which is what he is marketed to be, it's what he was drafted to be, he's going to have to lose weight. Mark Jackson said it. Lots of people said it. It's not saying he's a bad basketball player. No one's accusing him ever of being a bad basketball player. But if you play at that weight in that league, you're going to have knee problems, feet problems, stuff like that. And
that's the thing. There's a pounding involved here over time that will get you. He's probably going to lose weight. I mean, he's been fairly inactive from what he is used to for a while. It's going to come off.
They're concerned about his weight. They're saying they're not, but they are.
Yeah, like a good point. Off season will let everybody know if he's going to be in shape or not as a player.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're not dribbling anymore? What's it look like?
Come mid-April, he's going to take a few days, and then he's got to hit it. A lot of his career arc is going to be determined by what he does in May, June, July, August, September of this year. He needs to drop weight. And if he drops weight, he's an absolute superstar. Superstar.
How did he look just from a basketball standpoint last night?
Early, not very good, very conservative. Fourth quarter, terrific.
Really?
Showed you all the things that he can do. Quick twitch. His ability to get the ball off the ground and up to the basket in split second is elite. He has the ability to be an absolute superstar. But he's going to get guarded like an absolute superstar. People are going to scheme for him, and if he's not in elite shape, I've watched this league. This is a different deal. The wear and tear on your body over the course of a career. Tuesday night in Milwaukee, followed by Wednesday night in Cleveland. 6 games in 10 days. 48-minute games, physical games. He'll be playing against guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo and big body guys that are going to hit him. He can't play at that weight and stay healthy. There's no way.
Saw looking for it here. Found it. Where is it?
He's a really bright kid. I suspect he'll lose the weight. There are going to be people around him. My guess is that he comes back for his first full season in the NBA as an absolute stud. But last night he was fat.
Looks like 12 games was the largest suspension for the Kansas State
that was it?
situation the other day. Yeah, 12 is how far it went.
Okay.
And that was for Silvio De Souza.
Yeah.
12 games. Let's see, what else was it? KU forward David McCormick was suspended 2 games. Kansas State redshirt junior forward will miss 8 games. And then another player with 3. So 12, 8, 2, and 3.
They all got off pretty lightly.
And again, whomever grabbed the stool saved a lot.
Yeah.
Saved a lot. Games, potentially health, a lot of stuff.
They also helped that it was such chaos that nobody got hurt. When I mean nobody, I don't mean one of the players. I mean that a bystander, one of the young women that were in that section didn't have a jaw broken or worse, where it would have a permanent bad look. As it was, it just looked terrible and nobody got hurt, to the best of my knowledge.
So suspensions don't really, that doesn't surprise me necessarily, but could have been worse.
As long as they're back for the tournament, that's what really matters.
That's probably what the Big 12 was thinking.
Oh, I'm sure.
Hey,
we'll need
what's
them back for the tournament. The NCAA makes a lot of money off that tournament. We don't want to. Let's make a point here, but let's not hurt ourselves while we're at it.
Don't get stupid.
No.
I mean,
let's see. Let's do the math.
We're the ruler and the appeals committee here, so let's not get crazy.
Mid-January, 12 games puts him. Does he get back to Oklahoma City, Kansas City for the tournament? He does. Good.
That's all that matters, right?
That's what really is important. March Madness and all. When everyone's doing their brackets, the 1 month that college basketball actually resonates.
All right, everybody give me 1 second. Grabbing Jeffrey, and he will be straight into the show.
Yeah, Avery makes a good point.
What's that?
They could, if they really want to punish him, they could take away his letter jacket.
Ooh.
No letter jacket for Silvio De Souza.
Think he's got one?
Oh, I don't know. He won't have one now. It's for damn sure. Got to earn those. Those are perk.
Jeffrey?
He got the full Wiseman, though.
He got what?
He got a full Wiseman. 12 games.
Oh, he did.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
That's the new.
They like 12 games around here.
That's the new "you've really been a bad boy" penalty.
Yeah. Hey, I bet he learns his lesson.
Oh, you know he did.
So what's Memphis radio going to be like today? The Tigers losing by 40 last night? 40?
Easy. I guess easy would be the
easy would be. Let's go to the calls.
That's not true. First, we're going to hear from Penny Hardaway. Then we're going to set up what we'll be taking calls on. And then we'll go to the calls. There's a solid 10 minutes in there where, we'll be doing something other than taking phone calls.
Oh, gosh.
Casca, before we get into that, I haven't had a chance to listen. I wanted to listen. Did Jeff Calkins' father pass away yesterday?
So it's a matter of technicality. His father is still alive, but it's only because of, I think, state hospital laws.
Okay.
His father.
Did the fall happen yesterday?
It's the day before.
The fall happened the day before. Yeah, I'm trying to do math. And
I listened to the segment that Jeffrey tweeted out or whatever tweeted out. Yeah, it was the day before, I believe.
Correct. So his father had a fall, and for all intents and purposes, according to Jeff, he died when he fell. He is technically alive thanks to modern machines, but the moment that he is no longer on those machines, there is no, my understanding is there is no medical hope for him recovering.
99 years old though, hell of a life.
Yeah. So Jeff was able to do the show the morning that happened.
So the morning that it happened, or the day that it happened, he did the show in the morning and didn't know.
Okay.
Or was unaware. Found out sometime, it's unclear to me when he found out after the show. He started calling me super late, like late to the point that Jeff doesn't, like, when I saw the time that he was calling, I knew something was up. And he was able to do yesterday's show. I still have no idea how. And he closed. So originally, I think he kind of wanted to talk about his dad at the beginning, but then he realized, like, if I talk about my dad at the beginning, there's no chance I'm gonna make it through the show, whatnot. And so he just made like the split-second decision, essentially, like right as we were going on to air, that he wasn't going to do it till the end. And so now he's in kind of this waiting period where I think 4 of his siblings are up in Buffalo with their mom and at the hospital, and the others are kind of waiting to get official word.
Gotcha.
How many siblings are there?
There are 9. Jeff is number 8 of.
Yeah, I knew there were several.
Not Catholic either.
They just really liked each other. They stayed together for 70 years or whatnot. Wow.
Yeah, I think it was at least, I think they said either 72 years maybe.
Wow, that's amazing. Some of the radio segments between Jeff and his dad, I've listened to them over the years, were just radio gold, frankly. They were so funny.
Yeah, there was one where they were in a snowstorm, and then at the very end, right, he was saying his dad was saying goodbyes. He told everyone to send more whiskey to Buffalo. Like they were just pulled in with a blizzard. Nothing else to do.
No, that's true.
So I saw your tweet. You think, given that it was just one game, last night was a bad sign for the Tigers?
I do, because, and again, I'm not. I don't think it's like full blown panic mode, but I do feel like I've been around the block enough to know when I see red flags and something that I know is a red flag, I'm better off trusting my gut than letting people talk me into another result. And I'm not saying I bat 1,000, but I got a pretty good batting average. And when you just watch the way that their offense is and you watch their lack of production, I just really think it was very, very similar to Georgia when Kirby was so stubborn and defiant that the way he's doing it's right, and always pointing out the scoreboard, whatnot. It's like, but anyone that watched Georgia played knew there was a problem. It didn't mean that Georgia was a bad football team, but they were not going to be the type of football team that they wanted to be and to meet their own expectations. And I think it's very, very similar with Memphis.
Here's what's coming in March. I'm just going to let everybody know this. This is cynical Neil coming out, but this is what's going to happen, because the national media guys that cover the NCAA tournament, they love it so much for a myriad of reasons. And this year, because there's no good team, and I mean that sincerely, there's no good team. There's no team that you watch and go, man, they're good. There's some teams that they're okay, they're good, they're whatever, but you know what I'm talking about. There's no great team. There's no really good team. And there's a lot of teams that are just sort of in this jumble. And so the tournament is going to be full of close games and finishes and excitement and all that stuff, because everybody's got a bracket, and we're going to hear, God, it's the greatest sporting event ever. And it's like, it's a good event. But I mean, there's no great team in here. There's not going to be any greatness to watch. There's just going to be a lot of like dudes playing in close games and on television.
And I would actually go a step further. I think there's going to be if you made me predict today what it looks like, I think it's going to be. I think the first weekend is, and maybe even the first 2 days, not even the first full weekend. I think Thursday and Friday are going to be exciting in the sense that you have upsets.
Yes.
But typically we see in the tournament, when you get upsets early, you get a very boring second weekend and a very nondescript Final Four. And so I think the scenario that you painted out about, everyone. The ironic part is the people that you're referring to that love the tournament, they don't even gamble. So like that really makes no sense to me on how like you can love like
they love the travel and those national guys they get a ton of access at the tournament. They get to travel. They get to write kind of human interesty stories during the course of the tournament. Everybody tells them how great they are. And the NCAA people view them as
puppets?
Well, not just that, but they view them as allies, if you will. Ambassadors. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. And so they kiss their ass. And they're on expense reports, and if you get lucky as a reporter at the tournament and you get the early games, you're done writing by 7, 8 o'clock at night, and you go get a really expensive, nice dinner on somebody else's dime, and everybody's telling you how great you are, and then the next day there's no games, there's just the media stuff, and because you're one of the national guys, you get a level of access that you normally don't get, and you get to tell stories that necessarily haven't been told.
I think that's a huge part of it. I think the access that you get at an NCAA tournament, the locker room's open.
Yeah.
It's like covering a pro team, and it's very, very different from what you cover day in, day out during college basketball or during college sports. And I think that's a huge element of it. And, I think what we are starting to see, and I know y'all are making the Letterman's jacket, and again, I guess y'all just don't value a college Letterman's jacket, because I don't know if you know this, you can't just buy one.
No, it's a perk. Or a ring.
And it should definitely be promoted more. I think we are in for a I don't know if I want to call it like a media war, but you can already tell the PR company that they've hired has determined the strategy is bombard people with bad information and then attack the messengers that point out their hypocrisy.
Where is your MUS Letterman's jacket, Mr. Wright?
I believe it is. So my parents just moved recently, and I think it's in one of their like guest bedroom closets.
It's not framed in one of those shadow boxes or something in your living room?
Not framed. It is I'll be honest with you. I could have used it this weekend or this week, because I don't know how cold it was for y'all, but I've been miserable all week. Like, this was
dip below 80. Jeffrey's hunting south.
Like, there was one day where Aaliyah goes to work a little bit earlier than I do, and she just texted me, and she's like, "We've got to move to Florida." And I was like, "God damn it, I love you."
Speaking of cold weather, one of the games that people will most remember Eli Manning for is the Green Bay game, the NFC title game. It was -1 at kickoff. The wind chill was, I think, -20 something. It didn't get as cold as they had talked about it being all week, but it was bitterly cold, and he played.
I mean, I still think the memes of Tom Coughlin, like during that game, I still think like those are some of the most like
the Vaseline on his face. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if iconic's the right word, but they are by far some of the most memorable images of the last 2 decades of the NFL.
What game? If I tell you, hey, Eli Manning's career in a capsule, which game do you choose?
I picked the second Super Bowl because I still think he made the single greatest throw in Super Bowl history in that game.
The Tyree play?
The second Super
Bowl. Manningham.
Manningham down the sideline. Yeah, that was an incredible throw.
Tyree was luck. The Manningham throw was skill.
The Manningham throw was incredible. The Plaxico.
He didn't even get it killed.
the Plaxico Burress throw to win the Super Bowl. Everybody talks about Tyree, but they did still have to score.
He was wide open, running free, and Eli still hit him in stride.
Yeah, hit him in stride and gave him room because Plaxico was so long-legged, gave him room to get both feet in.
Yeah, I still hate Plexico because the next year the Giants were 11-1, and I think they were about to go on just a massive, massive tear. Eli at that point was well in position to actually win the real MVP.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
when the shooting thing happened. Yeah.
And then they finished like 12-4. But
you knew it was over for a while, but I mean, you have defined a lot of your sports life by Eli. What is it? What's it kind of like with him done now?
There's no person on this planet that has given me more joy watching sports than Eli Manning.
Not Yadier Molina?
Not Yachty. Not Yachty. Because in a lot of those World Series, like Yachty did a lot leading up, but like David Freese gave me one of the highest of highs. But Eli Manning, I think there's something to be said about the guy that was your favorite athlete when you're, somewhere between the ages of 10 and 12.
Oh yeah.
Like I just don't think that ever gets. I don't. It's not like you replace that. It doesn't.
It'd be like if Ryan Sandberg had won 2 World Series MVPs during that exact same time frame. For me, he would just be an absolute saint.
Yeah, and you just can't really. I think that's like a human experience that's not really manufactured. You don't replicate it. And on top of that, he was, he could make the greatest throw, and then he could turn around the next play and have no idea what was coming. And Eli did that for me because he knew I like to live on the edge of death, and he was my quarterback. Yeah, like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I have accepted. I am glad that I don't have to watch. There were some bad moments late, but I still claim most of the problems he had late were he just couldn't move that well, and because he couldn't move with a bad offensive line, like I still thought he could throw the football pretty well this year, and I think we saw that even when he came in the Philly game, and he got the final start, he could still throw it. I just don't think he couldn't avoid sacks, and with a bad offensive line, it just so many drives stalled out. But we didn't have to watch, his skills deteriorate a little bit, but we didn't have to watch, the dog struggling to get up on the bed.
So you're glad he didn't try to go somewhere else and prolong this thing a year or two.
Me too.
If there would have been a reasonable fit where I thought he could win, I would be a little more bummed. But where's he going to go this year?
I just didn't want to see his career end in a Jacksonville uniform or an Indianapolis uniform with a bad injury, getting carted off the field. I think it's fitting that it ended the way that it ended. I mean, he couldn't have been more graceful this season as
he let Jeter have the day. I think he had decided this before.
Yeah.
And he waited after Jeter got his Hall of Fame day.
Yeah, it just he gets to walk off the field after winning that game in the 15th game, knowing that Jones was going to play the last game, walked off the field as a winner, and walked out of the building with his family. And there had to be a part of him that thought, I've got all the money I could want. I've got my health, which is invaluable. I've got this young family. I'm going to go do other things. I mean, there's just no reason. There's no reason to stay. And like you said, if there was this one easy fit where he could say, okay, I could go there, they'd protect me, and I'd be a legitimate Super Bowl contender, like Peyton had in Denver, where everything else was in place. There's not one of those fits. And I was glad to see him leave. I was going to say the game that sticks out for me in the Eli Manning career is the second NFC Championship game, the one at San Francisco, when they had a hard time protecting him that day, and he got beaten up, and yet he just kept making plays and kept making throws.
I know we're not big on facts with the Eli Manning narrative, because for whatever reason, maybe it was the way he handled the San Diego thing. Maybe it's the fact that he had a very propensity to look dumb on the sideline. He won a Super Bowl with the 32nd rushing offense in the NFL.
That was that one, right? The second one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Second.
I mean, there's an image in that game. There's an image in that game where he gets hit late in the fourth quarter on a play where when he kind of comes to his senses, his chin strap is basically held up. His nose caught his chin strap, and the helmet's basically off, and he had taken a shot. And that was a game where the Niners basically – it was the Patrick Willis era defense where they were really, really good. And they just basically took turns hitting him. And he stood in there and made play after play after play. And you're right, now that you say that, I remember they were never able to establish a running game that day. It was all defense, don't turn it over, and make plays. And then ultimately that game went to overtime, and the Niners made the critical error on the punt return and got the kick to get to the Super Bowl. And to me, that was consummate Eli Manning.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about it in the course of his career, he always got the narrative of Eli Manning doesn't care. And where I think it displayed itself is it didn't matter if they were down 3 scores. It didn't matter. He played situational football. If they were down big, he was going to keep chunking it because he played in a manner that allowed his team to win. And if you look at it throughout the course of his career, when they needed him to be careful with the football, he was careful with the football.
Yeah.
Like he just, I think what gets lost in, records and whatnot is the Giants are low-key a poorly run franchise, and they get away with it somehow, which I can't figure out. And, they did him several disservices, whether it be not building a better offensive line around him, or the truth is I think they should have come up with a way to let him go 5 years ago, and give him that second act, that final act that I think he deserved.
In a different uniform?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen that way.
I don't know that he wanted to leave. I think he made up his mind. I think he's going to say this tomorrow. I think he made up his mind years ago that he wanted to be a Giant. He wanted to be a lifelong guy that played in one uniform, and
obviously didn't have my team.
I must have missed.
Sorry, that was a video. No, it was a video that came up. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. He just I think that meant something to him. I think he started thinking about his legacy a few years ago when it became obvious that the Giants weren't going to win with him anymore, that it wasn't his fault. It just wasn't going to work out. And I think he thought about it. And, in so many ways, it makes you wonder if when, and I don't know, we'll never know the answers to this because these are private conversations that should be private. You wonder when he talks to his dad, if his dad says, I wish that I had not had the time in Houston and in Minnesota. I wish I could have just stayed a Saint. And you wonder if there's a part of Peyton that would tell you privately that, man, it sure hurt when the Colts moved on from me. I wish I could have stayed in Indianapolis and worn that uniform to the finish. And I know that it worked out for Peyton in a way that it didn't work out for his father. Peyton gets to walk off holding the trophy. But I don't know. You kind of wonder if that was something that got discussed, or if Eli just was sitting there in the same city as you just mentioned with Derek Jeter and said, it means something more as a New York legend if you never leave New York. If that's the one picture they have of you is wearing that Giants helmet.
Do you think he gets in Hall of Fame?
I think he does. I do not think it'll be first ballot.
Yeah. I think I buy that too.
It's a league that sport, maybe more than any other sport, values the Super Bowl title. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing either. I just,
But I mean, think about this. Now that Eli has retired, there's no starting quarterback in the NFC that has more than one Super Bowl.
Yeah, I saw your back and forth there where you had to edit that a little bit.
Yeah,
Twitter's fun, isn't it?
If you're going to give Jimmy Garoppolo credit for being on the sideline,
Yeah, come on. Jimmy Garoppolo wouldn't give Jimmy Garoppolo credit.
no.
I mean, the only players with 2 or more Super Bowl MVPs: Bart Starr, Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana.
I think the only
Tom
quarterback
Brady
with
and Eli Manning. That's
Yeah.
it.
the only quarterback with 2 Super Bowls not in is Stabler, correct? No,
You
I'm
mean
sorry,
just 2
Stabler.
total?
No, I'm sorry, not Stabler. Plunkett. I think Jim Plunkett's the only quarterback not in the Hall of Fame with multiple Super Bowls.
I didn't realize Plunkett won too, but now that I think about it, I guess he did.
Yeah, those are the only MVPs. I was making sure I'm correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he gets in. I don't think it'll be first ballot.
Something tells me he doesn't care. I don't know. He's always struck me as like, whatever. I mean, I'm sure you care about your legacy and whether you get in and
I mean,
stuff
you
like
care. Yeah.
He also has a whole lot of the off the field stuff that I think factors in.
Was he
many ways.
named an NFL Man of the Year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
I do wonder if ESPN strikes out on Romo, which I think they probably will. I do wonder if they try and get the Manning brothers in the booth.
Oh, that's a thought. I actually think Eli would be pretty good on television. I think Peyton would be really, really good at it.
Listen, he did Saturday Night Live. I thought he was good.
Yeah.
You know, he's been on camera a lot. He's pretty good at it.
The guy in New York, all those years, all that media, never really had a media screw up.
No,
not one. In what he had 15, 16 years? Unbelievable.
That's true.
Yeah, nothing really comes to mind, right?
I can't think of anything. He had the one little episode with the jerseys or the autographs or whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
That's about it.
But that wasn't really a media
No, it was just kind of a screw up.
Yeah.
And the way he handled the Daniel Jones thing, to me, it just sort of cemented who the guy is.
Yeah, I mean, you can dislike him for whatever reason. Like, I don't hold that against anyone. If you want to sports hate somebody, sports hate someone. But he handled himself the way that you probably want your quarterback to handle himself.
Last thing before we let you go, Grizzlies keeping people pretty interested right now.
They are, but I think they've had a little reality check the last couple of days. That's just kind of part of an 82-game season. It's a different level of excitement, man. They've got a real hope for the future, in that you've got 2 young pieces right now that look like they're going to be very good players for the next decade.
Morant has made him so much better.
Oh yeah, and I give Taylor Jenkins credit. They're not trying to play him like Tom Izzo did, where he goes, "Oh, you're tall, get your back to the basket."
Yeah.
And so they have a real reason for being optimistic and hopeful. And you've also got a guy that's pretty electric to watch.
He's legitimately. I think he should be an all-star this year. He probably won't because there are so many good point guards in the West. But he's got a really bright future. He's special. He's electric.
Are they too good this year? Is this better than they meant to be, or is this still where they are on this rebuild?
You can make the argument that they're ahead of schedule, but that's more because of the Warriors bottoming out, the Pelicans not getting off to a good start. They were obviously injured. The
Kings
Portland
aren't
being-
as good as we thought they would be.
Yeah.
The Wolves aren't as good as we thought they would be. Karl Anthony Towns is miserable, and it's creating a difficult environment in Minnesota, and it's helped.
But
It's helped a handful of teams.
they would I think personally at this point, they would rather give Boston, pick number 13, I think, than hold on and maybe get the 6th pick, because this isn't thought to be a very good draft. I think they'd rather just be done with the obligation.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. What's going to be interesting with Memphis, with Oklahoma City, I'm looking at just kind of the small market teams that have pretty bright futures. To some degree, Dallas. What's going to be Denver,
Yeah, I think
Utah?
Dallas is
Can any of those teams, because of their futures and how bright they are, can any of those teams land the elite free agent that typically never goes to a small market?
I think Dallas can. Dallas is the only team that I think you have to say, if you could take someone's next 10 years, who would you rather have? I think it's probably you reasonably have to say Dallas. The flip side is, I don't know if the Grizzlies are ever going to be able to sign like a premier free agent. They do have a ton of cap space, though, to perhaps maybe trade for that type of player. And also the type of guy that they need to sign in free agency, it's not like you're trying to sign, the creme de la creme. You're trying to find a legitimate third option, which I think will be a reasonable task if if Morant and Jackson continue down this path.
Yeah. Have a good day, bud. Appreciate it. Was Jeffrey Wright on the Rafters hotline. We'll take a quick break and get back into it. I'll tell you the podcast brought to you in part by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Settle County, and Chattanooga. All underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. They're getting local underwriting. Understands your market. A leader in condo financing, the float down option, and with rates as low as they've been in a while. Good time to talk to Jason. That's 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Great lease deals as well. Check them out at GrenadaNissanUSA.com. We're also brought to you by Oxford University Bank. OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with a personal touch. No 10 buttons to push, no 5 minutes to wait. What you get is Kasasa. It's the absolute best cash checking account around. They also offer a commercial checking account, now paying 1% interest as long as you keep $10,000 in the account. It comes with fully interactive online banking. To learn more about OUB, check out liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. Also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Whether you're thinking about a golf trip, an anniversary trip, a summer trip with the family, a cruise, whatever the case may be, get in touch with John. He's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows John to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. John's traveled the globe for 40 years, basically, before even getting into the travel business. No one knows the extra attention that's needed to make a special trip one that creates a lifetime of unique memories more than John. Get in touch with him. Give him some parameters. Give him a budget. He'll give you options. And no, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. It's 901-494-3387 or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
I was 20, I guess, during this. I mean, it's still talked about a lot. Obviously, Eli and Larry Fitzgerald with excellent NFL careers. What was that Heisman race like? What the LSU game potentially give him a shot?
Yeah,
you covered this. I mean,
Yeah.
what was that situation?
Eli fell out of the race early because Ole Miss lost those games to
Memphis and Texas Tech.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. And And then he kind of got back into it in the middle of the year. They were off the radar, though, some of his big games. They beat South Carolina. They beat Alabama.
Different Alabama team, but yeah.
Yeah, but those games were 11 a.m. games.
Oh.
They were the old JP game. Because Ole Miss lost early in the season, they weren't a part of. They weren't a national storyline. And then, if I remember correctly, Ole Miss went to Auburn and won.
That was the CBS game later in the year on the Obamanu drop,
and that put him in the conversation. And then LSU had that dominant defense with Spears and all those cats. Chad Lavallee, if I remember right.
You make a good point here. So here's Ole Miss's times that year. Vanderbilt 11:30, Memphis 11, La Monroe 6, whatever. Texas Tech 6. That actually, it was a loss. Had you just won that game, he has these huge numbers. You outscore Texas Tech and the prolific offense, and it is what I guess that was B.J. Simmons. And they beat Florida at 11:30 in the morning. Even that was an 11:30 game.
Yeah.
In Gainesville. Alabama 11:30.
That was an 11 a.m. CBS game.
It was a national game. That's right.
Yep.
But it was whatever time. Alabama 11:30. So that was JPS. Actually, I take that back. No, Florida was JPS on Wikipedia.
Really?
If it's right, I mean, I assume it was.
Maybe so.
Yeah, Florida JPS, Alabama JPS, Arkansas 6:15 ESPN2. Oh, that wasn't a huge game for Eli. They won 19-7 against the Hogs.
I had forgotten that one.
South Carolina JPS. And then Auburn, as you said, CBS.
Because I remember the South Carolina game. The reason I remember it is I was covering Florida, Georgia that day in Jacksonville at 3:30, and the Ole Miss South Carolina game was a blowout, and then I think South Carolina came back and made it interesting or whatever. But Eli had huge numbers, but nobody noticed because it was early in the day. And then I think if Ole Miss beats LSU, like if that last drive ends in something differently than how it ended and Ole Miss wins that game.
Yeah, 21-17 Rebels.
Yeah, I think Eli Manning wins the Heisman.
Do you?
I do. Because I don't think Fitzgerald was going to win it. And Jason White was putting up these numbers for a team that was at the time considered the best team in the country. LSU crushed them.
Mm-hmm.
But by then the trophy was already collecting dust. Yeah, I think he wins it if he wins that game. There was so much media at that game, that Ole Miss LSU game. There was so much attention on it. I think that was his Heisman opportunity.
Ole Miss played 2
I voted
SEC
for
night
him.
games the entire year.
Yeah.
2.
I voted for Eli, and I remember people telling me, "Oh, you're being an Ole Miss homer because you went to Ole Miss." I'm like, I think he's the best player in the country. I had Eli 1, Fitzgerald 2, and I didn't even have White on my ballot.
Did you not?
Mm-mm. I didn't think he was a very good player.
Chris Perry finished 4th, if I remember correctly, the Michigan running back.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
I can't remember who. It might have been him. I had somebody else. And Big Ten sounds familiar for some reason. I had somebody else in the third spot.
I'm looking here to pull it up, the voting. For 2003. Jason White, won pretty handedly as I'm looking at it. 1,481 points. Larry Fitzgerald, 1,353. Eli, 710. Chris Perry, 341. Darren Sproles, Matt Leinart, Phillip Rivers, Mike Williams, Ben Roethlisberger, and B.J. Simmons rounded out the voting.
I think I had Rivers third.
You think you voted for Rivers?
Yeah, because there was the Alabama connection. He played at NC State.
Had a hell of a year.
Had a hell of a career.
4,491 yards, 34 touchdowns, 7 picks.
I feel pretty good about my ballot now that it's done.
That's pretty solid there.
Yeah.
Jason White, 38-46, 40 touchdowns, 10 picks.
That Oklahoma team was really, really good. They ran through the Big 12 or whatever the hell it was at the time. And, yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald's right at 1,700 yards, 22 touchdowns.
He was,
quite the year.
He was and is a great player.
Yeah. That one's not going to get anybody in hindsight. They voted for Larry Fitzgerald. That's more than.
And if you had told me that Fitzgerald had won it, I would have said, "Well, that's perfectly." I thought there were 2 guys that were deserving of the trophy, and neither one of them won it. That was a real hot take at the time. Everybody was, "Oh, you're just." I kind of knew that.
Wasn't it a lot of blow up locally? I know you weren't here, but I'm pretty sure, was it Gene Phelps that didn't vote for Eli?
I don't know.
I think so. Let's say the Daily Journal's vote, they didn't vote for Eli. And that was a thing around here for a little while. I think I'm right there. If I'm not, I apologize, and not trying to stir it up today, but I think that's right.
Taylor Zarger and I had a radio show at the time, and Taylor was very high on, because he and David Morris are really good friends. He was very high on Ole Miss at the beginning of the season, and so we made a billboard bet. Taylor said that Ole Miss would win 10 games, and I said they wouldn't, because I just didn't think there was enough around Eli, and I had to do a show from one of the billboards.
From the billboard?
In Mobile, yeah. Those billboards are higher up than they look on the road, and it was cold. Eli actually called into the show that day.
Did he?
He did, yeah.
What did he say?
I don't remember. I was too cold. I wanted to come down.
How long were you up there?
The whole show, 3 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
It sounds uncomfortable.
It was. I wanted to get down. And I finally sat down, and once you sit down on the thing, there's no standing up.
You stay sat down at that point.
At that point, yeah. I just kind of, yeah.
It hits you, and it's like, okay.
It hits you a little bit that you're way up here, and you're kind of frozen.
You can't stand up the whole time.
No. And so, I mean, I stood up for a while, and then once you sit down, you're done. You're not going to get back up because you don't feel like you're stable.
SEC scores last night. Auburn trying to put it back together after a little bit of a weird week for them. They beat South Carolina 80-67 on the Plains last night. Now Auburn 16-2 overall, 4-2 in the SEC. South Carolina 10-8, 2-3 in the SEC. Ole Miss plays Carolina in a couple weeks, which might be the first chance for a win, depending on how this thing goes scratch-wise between now and then. Mississippi State wins in Starkville against the Arkansas Razorbacks last night. State 12-6, 3-3. Arkansas 14-4, 3-3, 77-70. The Bulldogs over the Razorbacks.
I watched the first half of that.
Reggie Perry 26-13 last night.
He was really good
for MSU.
I don't think Isaiah Joe had a big day.
And then a really bad team playing an up-and-coming team. Alabama goes on the road and beats Vanderbilt 77-62 in Nashville last night. Vanderbilt 8-10 overall, 0-5 in the SEC. Alabama 11-7, 4-2 under first-year coach Nate Oates.
That Vanderbilt Ole Miss game could be for who gets the first pick in the draft. Oh, it doesn't work like that. Never mind.
It's not trending well. There. I mean, Vanderbilt, talk about a year-over-year deal.
They've lost 23 straight. I don't know what they did the year before, how they finished the season. But
I'm about to figure this out. Yeah, I need to know that answer. That's right. Because they went 0-18, didn't they?
Yeah, they've lost at least 23 straight SEC basketball games. That's in a place that cares about basketball.
They really do.
Yeah.
Good gosh.
Wonder how they finished the year before.
I'm looking.
I don't know.
Yeah, hold on. I'll while we're talking, I'll find some of that.
That's what I don't like about Facebook. I just got a notification on Facebook that 2 people who I don't know, who are my Facebook friends, have Facebook birthdays today, or birthdays that I don't know.
Is that bothering you?
No, it doesn't bother me. It's why I never go to Facebook, ever. Like once every 2 weeks.
Never, ever, but 26 times a year.
That's about right.
Okay.
And for 5 minutes.
You don't like hang out and
No.
play Farmville or something, whatever it is they do around here these days. Vanderbilt went 6-12 the year before, so let's see how they closed. Well, they won because they beat Ole Miss.
In a regular season game?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
They ended the season in Oxford in Andy's last year or whatever. Yeah, Madlock.
Yeah.
82-69. Had they lost that game,
okay.
They had lost 3 in a row before that, so they would have pushed 26 or so should that have been the case.
So they've lost 26 of their last 27 SEC basketball games.
That is correct.
Woo-hoo.
Yes, that is correct. Not great, Bob. Not great.
Not great. Wow. 23 in a row, 26 of 27. But who's counting?
And let's see where there's a stoppage here. I mean, what do they have left?
You pulling up their schedule?
Yeah, they're at South Carolina next.
It's a loss.
You think it's a loss, though?
Yes.
All right, they go to Kentucky.
A loss.
Florida.
No.
LSU.
No.
At State.
No.
Kentucky.
I mean.
Florida.
Probably not.
Tennessee in Knoxville.
No.
Georgia.
I mean, maybe, but probably not.
Okay. They've got a week circled. Okay, there's a week here circled.
We're like, hey, we got to get one of these.
Yeah. February 26th, February 29th, Mizzou at home at Ole Miss.
They could be.
They got a shot
they got
there.
a real shot against Mizzou.
Yeah, Ole Miss is gonna be a tall order for them at home.
It just depends.
And then they go to Alabama, and then they close with Carolina at home.
So they got a chance.
They're no more than
couple.
3-15 though.
Oh, you're so generous. 2-16 is their max right now.
That's their ceiling.
If you offered that to Jerry Stackhouse, he'd probably have to take it.
Just to get at some point, the snide's gonna end.
If the basketball gods came down and after they got through laughing said, "Hey, so here's what we're gonna offer you. No questions asked. Maybe it's better, maybe it's worse, but we're willing to guarantee you 2-16 right now. Would you take it?" He'd have to go.
Hold on a second. Stackhouse had an issue with He issued a statement after they had the 3-point streak lost. Why?
I don't know.
It's just a stupid stat.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Got bigger problems than the 3-point streak.
Yeah.
That's the point right now.
Yeah.
Got some other fish to fry.
That ought to be the statement. Y'all think I'm worried about 3-pointers right now?
Yeah, academic standards kill Vanderbilt. Just can't make it work in anything. Sorry, reading from the live stream.
Yeah. Tim Corbin says, I just don't know how we do it. The little engine that could.
Chugga.
I think I can. Just got to believe.
Now I need the streak. When I type that in, it gives me the number of Jerry Stackhouse 3-pointers in his career.
A bunch.
How many do you think?
Jerry Stackhouse 3-pointers?
Yeah.
406.
988.
Wow.
He hit 988 3-pointers.
How about that? Good for him.
Somebody write a story, the Vanderbilt Hustler. I don't know what the Vanderbilt Hustler is, but apparently it's a news organization of some extent. Don't blame Stackhouse for the end of the streak.
It's a gentleman's magazine.
Located
Hustler.
in Vanderbilt?
Yeah, it's just, they take Vanderbilt girls that are in need of cash, daddy issues, and put them in there.
Supplementing things, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's how they're paying for their education. Don't blame Stackhouse for end of streak.
Yeah, well.
Who's going to blame him for anything?
They didn't hit a 3-pointer.
I mean,
okay. They don't shoot well. Yeah, no kidding. They suck.
Yeah. As Saban would say, all right.
All right.
Yeah. We're not very good, all right?
It's like a high-class hustler.
Yeah.
Yes.
A very smart hustler.
For the sorry. I can't even do it. I don't know. Train of thought. What are you going to talk about?
They're cheerleaders. They're cheerleaders, like an SEC tournament, like the dance teams and stuff. Their cheerleaders come out, and you always kind of have your bless their heart moment.
What, Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
Are they worse?
Yeah, they're like Florida.
Well, you're a technician when it comes to cheer these days. I thought you were literally discussing the acumen.
Like the Florida dance team comes out, and they're probably not having a real hard time getting a date. You know what I mean? And then the Kentucky dance team sort of the same way. And then here comes Vanderbilt, and you're like, oh, bless their heart.
But Kentucky's like legitimately good, right? Aren't they one of the top in the country?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think that's right.
They finished below Ole Miss this time, though.
Did they?
Yeah.
You're predicting bidding wars for a cheer coach over here at some point.
The dance coach?
Yeah,
at
whatever.
Ole Miss? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she's got some opportunities.
There are some schools where you just assume that the dance team is good, or at least, as you mentioned, suitable for be looked at.
Yeah.
I know you were big on Oklahoma State back in the day.
Yeah, they were
that NCAA tournament.
They were amazing.
You would assume Arizona State's fine.
That'd be my guess.
The assumption. It's like, yeah, sure.
That Oklahoma State team,
you were still talking about it a decade and a half later.
No idea how they danced, but they were so talented. There was talent up and down the line. Because they played, Auburn was the 1 seed that year, and they played like Winthrop or somebody. And then it was Oklahoma State against, so it was an 8-9 game, Oklahoma State against somebody. And it was really close, and we were really cheering for Oklahoma State.
Creepy.
Me and J.T.
Creepy
Charles
as
Goldberg were like, we really need the Cowboys to win.
It's creepy.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It's creepy.
Got another day to watch the Oklahoma State dance team.
It's creepy. That's really all I got. It's creepy.
kind of looking back on it, it was kind of creepy. But at the time,
You think?
well, we didn't like talk to them or anything. We just watched.
Is that better?
Yeah, we just observed their talent.
So voyeurism is the preferred method now?
Hey,
Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I guarantee you pop that into your Google search, you're going to get a lot of results.
Oklahoma State dance team?
Voyeurism.
Oh. A wealth the possibility at that one, is that what you're saying?
I'm guessing you could peruse for days.
Okay. I don't know. All right, seriously, what are we talking about?
I don't know. I'm just here for the ride.
What do y'all want to talk about in our live chat?
I know people like, what's going on in recruiting? And I'm like, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Oh, did what's his face come out with the tweet that he promised at 8:30?
Who? What's his face? Help me.
The guy at Georgia who's fighting for his life.
Oh, was he putting something out this morning?
He supposedly was putting something out at 8:30 that was going to
rock the internet,
rock the world. I'm searching.
I finished the Aaron Hernandez documentary, by the way, yesterday. Incredibly well done. Congrats to Dan Wetzel for his part in that. That was.
I have not watched it yet. Is it pretty dark? I mean, obviously,
it's subject matter's pretty dark. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. So we have one for him. What do we have?
I'm looking. I don't see one yet. No. He's a weird cat.
He's hit the point where I don't even really want to make fun of him because I'm just sad about it now at this point. As you said, there's something going on there. That's not just normal fanatic stuff.
No, I wouldn't think. No, and I don't. People are saying he's trying to make a brand or whatnot, and I don't think that's it either. I can't find it. On the live stream, they're talking about Mike McIntyre. I was kind of confused because that's sort of old news that he was going to Memphis.
Yeah, they announced him several.
It's been weeks, right?
I don't know if it's been weeks, but it's been a little while.
I lose track of days right now.
Really?
Well, I'm trying to keep up with recruiting, and it's difficult. I don't know that Ole Miss is bringing anyone in this weekend. I think they're saving a bunch of guys for next weekend.
Look, they're not, if they can't get what they deem to be SEC-worthy players in the spots, they're just going to hold spots. They are not going to oversign.
I was told yesterday that Kiffin himself has been very picky. Looking at film, if he doesn't think the guy's an SEC player, they're not taking him. They're not going to take kids, like you said, just to fill spots. The Dunson kid, the 4-star defensive back that committed to Miami last weekend that was supposed to come in on a visit, I'm told from people who would know that Kiffin looked at his film and just said he's not good enough. Don't tell him not to come. Ole Miss canceled his visit. They let him reschedule a visit to Miami, and he committed.
Yeah, I mean, Lane talked about that on the early signing day on the press conference he didn't want to be at. He said, 10 years ago, he would have filled the spots. He would have piled the ranking up as high as he could pile it and see where it finished. And, yeah, right now, they'll just hold. I mean, it's currency. You can manipulate those things a little bit. You can figure out ways to use them. So, no, they are not going to sign just to sign.
It's a good question. It's a better Friday question, but hell, it's Thursday. It's close enough.
Okay.
Corey Hamill asked, will Kiffin employ his own version of running of the Gumps at Ole Miss? So here's a twofold question.
Okay.
A lot here.
Okay.
I don't think Kiffin is going to be super accessible. So if you want your time with Kiffin, you're going to have to do it at events like this. I don't think Kiffin's going to do a lot of the banquet circuit stuff where the boosters get their pound of flesh all the time. And the common fan is going to have very limited exposure on a personal level with Kiffin. If he got going big enough, is there that section of the Ole Miss fan base that would do that like they do in Tuscaloosa?
The running of the Gumps?
Where the guy that...
I know what you mean.
The grown man in the Alabama jersey. It's the most important thing in his life, and he waits hours and hours and hours to be at the front of the line. And when they open the gates, they sprint the length of the field to get to Coach Saban.
All right, let me think about it. While we're doing, let me think about it.
There's Coach
Give me
Saban,
3 or
Mama.
4 minutes. While we're doing, I'll tell you about Tyson Drugs and G&M Pharmacy. Tyson Drugs in the Square in Holly Springs. G&M right there on South Lamar in Oxford. They deliver local to your home or workplace in the Oxford area. You can set that up or find out much more at 662-236-2222. They also offer MedSync for your prescription the same day every month. Make it easy on you, fewer trips, and get the medicine when you need it. And also check out Right Way Meds if you need everything individually packaged with a time and a date to make sure you're taking it when you need to. Again, 662-236-2222.
We are also brought to you by the Westin Jackson. It's a Marriott property in downtown Jackson's home to Soul Spa, the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson. It's also home to Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro, creative craft cocktails, curated wine list, fantastic food. You'll love it there at Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro inside the Westin Jackson Marriott property in downtown Jackson. We're also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. We dropped a Mind on My Money podcast yesterday afternoon. You should listen to it. It's brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust is also home to the Pinnacle Trust 401k advisory services team. If your 401k is not performing at the level that you would like for it to, for your company, for your employees, get in touch with the 401k advisory services team today. They can conduct a complimentary, no obligation benchmarking and analysis of your current 401k plan. Mention that you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the Oxford Exxon Podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fees. We are also brought to you by Nest and Wild. Sleep better with the Nest and Wild mattress. Nest and Wild is a Mississippi-based mattress company making a high-quality mattress delivered right to your door. They make buying a new mattress easy. Every Nest and Wild mattress is 1 foot thick. From the twin size to the California King, every Nest and Wild mattress is 1 foot thick, 100% American-made. The pricing is fantastic, and it's even better when you throw in the podcast discount. Nest and Wild is combining with Jason Mott's Foundation to fight cancer. So if you get a Nest and Wild mattress, you're fighting cancer in your sleep. Nest and Wild donates a portion of every mattress sold right back to Jason Mott's charity. It's also a no-risk decision. Nest and Wild believes in their product so much, they're offering a 99-night trial on every mattress. So try it out, sleep on it for 99 nights, and if you don't like it, you can return it. NestandWild.com. Order your mattress. Use podcast code REBEL20, REBEL20, and get 20% off your purchase. Your mattress will arrive at your door in 3 to 5 days.
Okay. Look, every SEC program has a section of the fan base that would do this. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, maybe not to the level of Alabama because of the sidewalk fans that are so much more there. And look, sidewalk fans are phenomenal for your university and for your athletic program. That should not be a disparaging remark toward those people. Every school needs those. It needs to be embraced. It's what Alabama does so well, is that if you do anything to try to be a member of that fan base, you get something back. They really try to nurture that. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a couple. I mean, I'll just say it. There's a couple people around the Ole Miss, like a couple Ole Miss fans that I recognize that a lot of these things doing kind of what you're talking about that creep me the hell out. Same dudes over and over and over again. I'm like, do something else. You're kind of bothering me. I don't say bothering me because you're leaving me alone. You don't want my autograph. But I will probably never in my life give an autograph. You know what I mean? Pretty certain no one ever want my John Hancock.
Probably a safe bet.
Yeah, probably a safe bet. You ever given an autograph?
No.
Never?
No.
I'm just asking.
No. For what?
For what?
I mean, what the hell have I ever achieved?
So, it would look different, but I do think, I mean, look, Ole Miss does a pretty good job. You know, it's way too packed, and you have to pick a line, and it's hard to get through. But, I mean, it's Meet the Rebels. I mean, it's what it is. It's much more kid-friendly, obviously. We're talking about the adults, but, yeah, there'll be some semblance of that thing. And, no, Ole Miss does not have the large contingent of creepy adult males with the jersey that are waiting in line and then running like hell to get to the head. Yeah, I mean, there are some, but there are some at every university.
Sure.
Yeah.
But Alabama has
the kind of dudes that hang out without the kid in the hotel waiting on media day.
Alabama has enough of those where they actually have had to kill that because I think they get embarrassed by it. And I think they don't.
They made them walk last time. It was you could not run at all. You had to basically speed walk where you're going because look, I mean, you mentioned it earlier with Zion. I mean, we're not exactly peak fitness, you and I, but I mean, stuff's like bouncing everywhere. Yeah. Like it's ripe for slow motion cinematography.
Alabama doesn't want to make fun of them because those are their people, and yet they don't want to create an environment where they're easily made fun of, and so they're trying to thread that needle.
Yes, they're trying to make those people less embarrassing when the cameras get on them, is what they're doing. Make it a more normal event.
Yeah.
If you can call it that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want the problem is the camera's always pointed the wrong way. I don't want to see the idiots running. I want Saban's face on camera as they're running at him. That's what I want. I want Saban's face.
I want the dialogue in his head. I want to know what is he thinking in that moment. It's because, like, we talked about this before. When Jimbo got off with the
North Korean marching band,
and the North Korean band was there playing, you could see him going, $10 million a year, $10 million a year. They guaranteed $75 million. $75 million.
We're going to walk through the band. We're going to pet the dog, and we're going to go to the hotel.
I'm going through a divorce right now. I've got a lot going on. I'm going to be financially set for life, no matter how badly this goes. You could see that functioning in his head.
That was his thought bubble.
Yes. With Saban, sometimes you can't really – he's much better at hiding the thought bubble.
He wouldn't hide that one.
I think if you had a camera on him, he would think, this is unbelievable that I have to – I left the lake for this. I left film for this. You said 1 hour, and by God, it's 1 hour.
Lane's already picked that up from Saban a little bit. When time's up, time's up. Yeah. We're on to the next.
I got a feeling with Lane, before time's up, he's like, I'm out. That's it. Done. You said 1 hour. I gave you 32 minutes. That's enough.
Close enough. Rounds up.
Round it up. It's more closer to a full hour than it is a half hour. I'm done.
What's the second school in the SEC behind Alabama that this would be the funniest at? It's Tennessee, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's Tennessee.
It's Tennessee.
Because I don't think you could get LSU fans to do it. They'd be like, we're going to party. Just tell us when kickoff is.
Oh, yeah, no.
They're not going to do it. Georgia's too cool.
Again,
South Carolina's
Georgia would be very Ole Miss, except more of them because they're just a bigger fan base.
South Carolina's more like LSU.
Really?
Yeah, kind of.
That's
just
how
like,
you make that?
We're going to party.
Arkansas, sorry.
But are there enough that would do it?
They don't overrule Tennessee.
No.
Tennessee's too. I mean, with a bullet.
Yeah.
Frankly, Tennessee's closer to Alabama than
Arkansas is more like Tennessee. Yeah. They would.
Arkansas's in with State.
They'd be a candidate. Yeah. Just I don't. When you mention that to me with Arkansas, I don't get the numbers don't pop up in my mind where I think, there'd be a lot of them. And also, they've never had a coach like that. They've always had the coach that always does the rubber chicken circuit.
That's true.
And so, you know what I mean? So
pretty accessible.
There's going to be the event in Little Rock, and there's going to be the event in Hot Springs or Crossover or wherever the hell it is.
Crossover?
Smackover or whatever it is. He's going to go down and do something in South Arkansas where they don't have to come up to sprint the 100 yards to see the coach.
I don't know enough about Florida's fan base.
No chance.
A&M low-key weird. But
A&M's not low-key weird. A&M is a freaking cult.
Well, I mean,
those are the weirdest people.
Situation.
Those are the strangest people. The people that cover them are strange. Everything about that deal is strange. Yeah. I mean, Ross has
got to bang the clash rings against the table.
Ross has to be telling himself a few times over and over and over, I got job security now. We're going to be okay. It's going to be this. I did this for the money. Made sense. Would like to know Ross's inner monologue if he thinks to himself, it probably would have worked out. I probably would have kept my gig.
Comes back to would he have hired Lane Kiffin?
I don't think so.
Because if you're not making a change and making a very successful change from a fan standpoint, you're dead in the water right now. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's got to get to this point, especially with basketball doing what it's doing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Ross would be getting ready to fire Mike. Just keeping it real.
Yeah. Keith might.
Do what? Well, I know, but Ross certainly was going
yeah.
to. I don't think Ross hires Lane.
I don't either.
I haven't asked him. I haven't talked to Ross in a couple weeks, but
I don't think he would have.
I don't either.
I don't think he would have. Wonder where he would have pivoted without once
Norvell was out, because I think that'd have been his A1 too.
Yeah.
A1 also.
I mean, Norvell made a ton of sense.
Yeah.
If you couldn't get Norvell, I wonder where he pivots.
Because then does he get caught up in that Napier crap like State does?
Could have. And I don't know that Billy Napier does it.
My guess, and might even ask him just the heck of it, see if he answers it. My guess.
He's not going to tell you.
He'll tell me something. He'll lie to me.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I'd lie to me too.
Yeah.
I think he'd hire Drinkwitz. That's my guess. I think he would hire Elijah Drinkwitz.
That guy is some kind of boring.
Oh, just comatose.
Yeah, and he does.
He makes Dave Doran look like Lane Kiffin.
Well, and he's doing the no access thing too. That's become all the rage, and he's so boring that no access really doesn't work. Like all the writers, like, screw it, who cares?
The problem with Ross hiring Billy Napier is I don't know that Billy Napier would have taken it.
Yeah,
Napier did not want to talk.
Napier's a different dude, and so if you were going to hire Napier, you were going to have to wait for that championship game to end, and then I'm not convinced he does it. Billy Napier, according to some people, is waiting on something. The speculation is at South Carolina. I don't know whether that's the case or not, but that Billy Napier is waiting on something and is perfectly patient doing it and believes that this Louisiana Lafayette team is going to be better than the last Louisiana Lafayette team and that he's got time.
Sure.
Whatever. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just telling you that's what he thinks. And so his perception is his reality. We talk about that all the time. I mean, if Billy,
I get what he's doing, but I'd be scared to death.
I would too.
Just terrified.
But if that's what he's thinking, then it might as well be real.
Yeah.
Oh, you know me. I'm
yes, one quarterback injury. Chris Wells says one quarterback injury and your whole plan's shot.
Yeah,
it's over.
That's why for me,
because suddenly when you go 7-6 at Lafayette, you're just stuck.
That's like I don't think Elijah Drinkwitz wanted to go to Missouri, but when Missouri said, "Well, we'll give you $3-point-something million," okay,
I'll figure it out,
or I'll have money at the end. What's the worst thing that can happen to me? I go back to being a coordinator, a rich one, done.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll be back tomorrow, probably with your questions, because I don't know what in the world we'll be talking about otherwise. So we'll do that. Check rebelgrove.com in the meantime. Some coverage there. Any recruiting news that does happen, any coach stuff that does happen between now and then, we'll have that for you also. So appreciate you hanging out. Thanks to Jeffrey, and we'll talk to you soon.